Namaste. My name is Sainath Shanbhag. I am the Chief Technology Officer of Shardula AI. And as part of this, we have created a Sharada-based Sharada, which is a family of Sanskrit-based coding languages. Now, what exactly this is, we will be going through this in this slide. So what I have done is, I have taken three things. One is the language, the regional language that you have. So most of the regional languages have a majority of their words taken from Sanskrit. So I am taking a simple Sanskrit, which means that 80% of the words that I use in Sanskrit are from your mother tongue. Then I am taking ontology. This is the second thing. Ontology refers to knowledge representation, which we inherit as part of our culture. It is there in our civilization. And the third thing that I have is Lipi. Now, Lipi, every region has their own Lipi. For example, Devanagari is a Lipi using which we write most of the North Indian languages. In South India, we have Malayalam, Kannada and Telugu Lipi is same. Now, using this Lipi, we can write Sanskrit as well. So that is this. That is, I have taken three things, and this is my fundamental base using which I am building this Sharada. So what this using these three bases allows is a child can think in his mother tongue and represent in his using his knowledge that he has inherited using his Lipi through which he writes the code. Let us take a look at what is the ontology. Now, ontology refers to knowledge representation. Now, in 1990s, who you see on the screen is Shri Rajiv Dixit ji. And during 1990 and 2000, he was doing a Swadeshi Andolan, and he was part of Baba Ramdev as well during that time. So he was an engineer and he had gone to Europe to present his thesis. And during the thesis, the professors asked him to present his thesis in his the regional language, which is Hindi. Unfortunately, Rajiv Dixit ji was not able to do that. And later they told him that unless you do that in your local mother tongue, it is difficult to get something novelty in your ideas. Now, how much truth is there in this fact? To know that, what I did was I took a list of Nobel laureates recently. That means most updated list from Wikipedia. And in that, I see that the highest number of Nobel laureates are from United States, followed by United Kingdom, then Germany, France, and Sweden. Now, when I see the engineering colleges or science colleges in Germany, France, and Sweden, they are teaching in their website. Their website is containing both English and their mother tongue. Now, how true is the fact that the Nobel laureates themselves learned in their mother tongue? So, towards that, what I did was I took the recent Nobel Prize winners and their thesis, whichever was available in Wikipedia. So, in Germany, I got 3 German Nobel laureates, and when I see their thesis, you can see that it is in German, and followed by French. There are 2 engineers, 2 scientists, and their thesis is also in French. So, meaning to point I am trying to bring up here is that from their childhood till their PhD, they are thinking in their mother tongue. That is the point, and that allows them to bring novelty. It results in highest number of Nobel laureates from that country. Now, let us see whether when India was learning in their mother tongue and Sanskrit was more prevalent, did we create wonderful scientists and mathematicians? So what I did was from 1850s to 1900s, when the British government's influence on the lower school was minimal. Of course, they had influence in the higher. They had started colleges in degree, but the lower school was mostly in the vernacular, in the local regional languages. Now, 1858, we have J.C. Bose, who was born. I am considering him one of the biggest, world's greatest scientists, one of the greatest scientists. And the reason is because in 1858, not much thing was talked about microwaves, how we use mobile phones, that is based on microwaves. But during 1900s, he had invented a 4 gigahertz transmission, and how he created, etc., is easily, it's available in the website. In his J.C. Bose, they have a website. Anyways, we had Visvesvaraya, who was born in 1860. Srinivas Ramanujan, a great mathematician who was born in 1887, he had his education in his local Gurukulam kind of a education system he had. Then we have C.V. Raman. Now, C.V. Raman was the first Asian to win a Nobel Prize in any field of science, 1888. Now, again, if I go further, we have Satyendranath Bose, 1894. The boson particle, the subatomic particle, boson particle is named after Satyendranath Bose. And Meghnad Saha, he was 1893 born, and he has a Saha-Langmuir equation. Now, all this between 1850 to 1900, by showing you one of the greatest scientists and mathematicians we have, that is how I am proving that by having an education in our regional language, it is possible to create geniuses, right? So 6 geniuses in 40 years span we have. Now, let us take today's world. What is like, of course, today's world is different from what we had in 1850s. Now, what the powerful nations like US, Russia, France, Germany, China, they are doing is, they are introducing science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's called STEM education. And they are giving early access of STEM to kids. And they are understanding the strength of the child and empower the strength in those areas of the child. Now, in my previous company, I had a co-worker who was from China, and what she told me was not more than 1/6 of the time of the student is given for allocated for foreign language. So that means that 5, 6, 80% of the time they are thinking everything in their mother tongue. And of course, China is one of the leaders in artificial intelligence today. Now, if we see how the STEM education is related to India, how can we even have our Sanskrit-based STEM education? Now, one of what you see on the screen is Shankaracharya ji of Govardhan Purimat. He is having one of the talks he had in Indian Institute of Science, where he says, shows how science, technology, engineering, and mathematics is mantra, yantra, tantra, and ganita. Now, here, if what I am trying to do here is that in the field of coding, can we have this kind of representation where we having a mantra and a Indian way of thinking in that? For example, all my science will be based on Pratyaksha Anuman Agama, which means observation, inference, and the knowledge from the knowledge existing, which we receive as from your school, from a teacher or someone. So that is Agama. But high importance is given to Pratyaksha and Anumana. Now, the technology is the compiler that I have developed and the language which I have developed. And the Tantra is the part where application developers using this software, they will be developing. Now, of course, this can be taken at different levels, but in the field of coding is what I'm trying to do here. And we have Ganita. And Ganita, we have an excellent book called Leelavati. And I'm taking many concepts of mathematics from there. And of course, I'm as well taking engineering mathematics as well. Right. So what I have tried to do is, in this field of coding that currently we have in the world, what happens is, I can split the number of engineers that are working, the software developers that are working, into 3 groups. The first group is thinking in terms of scripting. So they are the automation engineers, web developers, etc. The front-end developers. So that is scripting. Second thing are data scientists, data scientists, mathematicians who are doing modeling, etc. So they are thinking everything in terms of mathematics. And the third part are the business software developers. And what they try to do is they try to understand the business models and the domain knowledge, and using that domain knowledge, they represent it in software. So these 3 engineers, they don't mix in the sense a scripting test engineer does not go into the mathematics does not go into the other person's domain. So this is what I have observed in my 20 years of industry experience. Now, what I have done to this Sanskrit coding language is, I have created 3 different programming languages. So I can say it as one language itself, but from the perspective of an engineer, it is 3 different languages. Now, in these 3 different languages, the Parashar is for painting. So if you want to do some painting, a person who wants to get into this Sanskrit programming language, The easiest is scripting based language. So I am creating Sharda Parashar, which is a scripting based language. Sharda Bhaskar is for mathematicians, and Panini is for expressing the business model. So now let us try to understand what these three things are. Now, what you see on the pitch, what you see on the screen is a paint, and this paint is created by pure coding. So there is no MS Paint, no specific software, nothing different used. It is just pure coding, and through coding, you are telling the computer that what exactly you want, how it wants to draw. So you tell the computer what you want, and the computer draws it for you. And then you tell the computer that, okay, I want to place all of these elements in such and such location. And then the computer will place all of them in such and such location, and it will create a paint for you. Now, let me again repeat, this is not drawn or anything. We are telling the computer is drawing it for us. Now, let us see how it is done. How does the code look like? Now, in that, what you see, we see a tree and we see a boat. Now, this tree and boat was created by my first batch students. In a local school, I had gone and I was teaching them, and I spent around 10 hours. And after 10 hours, they were able to draw these kind of icons. And how does the code look like? For the tree, the code I have put on the upper layer, upper square, blue square, dark blue square. And for the boat, I have put it on the square above the boat. Now, this is a 3-line code. The thing is, more important than the flow of code, it is the specific words that are more important in Sanskrit-based coding language, which in the normal coding languages, we are giving more importance to the flow and less importance to the words. All right. So how are these words? What I'm doing is I'm trying to bring Indic knowledge system. Remember that first I said that we have a language which is Sanskrit, and then we have a knowledge system, right? So this knowledge system is the most powerful thing here, and I am trying to use that in my program. So for example, I try to introduce the knowledge system of constellations, nakshatras, rashis, etc. of the sky. So before a child tries to start coding, it is important that the knowledge representation is understood. So this is an example how I teach them the night sky observation and the movement of stars, etc. Do we have it in our existing coding language? Yes, we do have. For example, when we are doing engineering software, modeling software, it is essential that before we get into that, it is important to understand the, for example, if I am modeling a signal processing system, in that case, I need to understand the fundamentals of systems before I start coding. In the same way, in Parashara, just within 5 hours, I am able to and give a basic knowledge of astronomy to the child, which forms the knowledge system. And using that, he will start coding this paint. Now, this particular background is the a lake in Himachal Pradesh. It's called Parashar Lake. And why I have taken this is because this knowledge system, I am taking it from Parashar Muni. I have inherited it from the lineage of Parashar Muni. And this lake, we see that in between the lake, there's an island. And this island keeps rotating. And I have been in the, I have stayed there and I have seen this, this thing moving. It moves very slow. Anyway, the point is, I have taken this knowledge system from Parashar Muni's lineage. And what you see on the top right, this is a representation of the 27 stars along the ecliptic. So ecliptic is as the sun moves from the east to west direction. There is a, along the same direction, the moon and all the planets also move. And as well as there are some constellations that move. Constellations are made of these stars. And there are major 27 stars along the ecliptic that we have got from our civilization. So it is there in our civilization memory. Many of them we know the name of these nakshatras. Now what I have done is these nakshatras, though many are, though it most popular representation of this nakshatras are basically representation of the constellations. So in the same map of representation of constellations, I have the representation of the stars exactly where this is coming. So for example, we know that the Earth is round, and US, we cannot say what is top or bottom. Of course, we can say that north is the axis. So US, on the left of US, like we have one, on one side of the US we have Europe, and the other side of US we have Germany. So we cannot say what is the center, right? But then in the map we are making this circle as a square, and in that square we are representing the US on the top left and Australia on the bottom right. Same way, the ecliptic stars are represented in a constellation of 12 squares historically through our civilization. And each constellation has these stars, and I have taken the name of the stars, and this is the map that I have created. Now, what I am trying to do is I am defining every region on this map using these stars. And here you have definition of the external areas. In fact, using a model of self-similarity, etc., we can define any internal region as well. So what you have seen here, what I'm trying to define here is how a tree gets generated, how a tree has to be represented using a code. And that is what I have on the bottom light blue color thing. And each point is representing basically a star in this specific diagram. Right. Also, I have some words which use a self-similarity, but that is a concept that is outside the scope of this presentation. Now, what we have seen here is using a knowledge representation which a child has inherited from his civilization. Of course, every civilization has that. China has its own civilization. Europeans have their own civilization. But the thing is, like, it is going fast. But the point is that can be, we can revive that, right? So that is knowledge representation. Then using knowledge representation, I am using a scripting, which is the simplest way of coding. And using this, a child is able to get into this Sanskrit-based coding language, where he understands, okay, how does one interact with the computer? And as the computer is generating a picture for us, there is a relation that forms between the coder as well as the person. So that is Sharda Parashar. Now, once a person completes this, right, what if he wants to do some higher programming? So higher programming in which one wants to do some modeling or simulation or data science or this kind of thing. Of course, if that can be done, even simple mathematics can as well be done, for which I have created Sharda Bhaskara. Now, this is usually the second step, especially for those who are very good in mathematics. Very good in mathematics means a child will have an inherent capability in mathematics. So for them, Sharda Bhaskara will work good. So here I am giving an example where I am solving a differential equation. So normally in mathematics, most of our answers are a single number. But there are some mathematics in which the output is not a single number, but it's a sequence of numbers. For example, output might slowly increase and then it decreases, then again increase, decrease. So those kind of things are generally represented as a differential equation, which refers to anything which is changing over time is represented using differential equation. So we learn it in 11th standard and we learn it in engineering mathematics. And the question is, can this kind of things be solved using Sharda Bhaskara or a Sharada, which is Sanskrit-based coding languages? So the point is, yes, I have shown the representation is shown using a matplotlib, which is a library. But the main code is what you are seeing is in the right side. There is on the blue square, I am giving some output, which reads as K is 0.000, T is 0.0625. The right side represents the time as the time increases. Left side represents the values as the values are increasing over a period of time. And this output is given to a matplotlib, which is an external library, nothing to do with Sanskrit here. So the output of Sanskrit is read by an external library, and that is creating the image here. So how does the code look like? So what the code looks like is what I have shown in the background. Now, this particular language has nothing to do with existing languages. So, but then the thing is, the basic concepts of the programming language is used here. Specifically in Bhaskara, I am using the basic constructs of computer science that we are using today. The idea is that once a child is comfortable with Sharada Bhaskara, he will be able to as well shift to existing coding languages easily because the concepts are the same. And he is learning the concepts without using his own mother tongue. And that allows him to learn it very fast, to do things fast. And then he can relate all these things to existing coding language. For Parashar, that is not the case. Even though I'm taking 70% of the thing of scripting, I'm using knowledge representation. But here it is around some 90% of the things are from existing programming language. But only thing is Bija Ganita, I am taking that Ganita from Leelavati, right? So all the basic constructs I am taking from Leelavati, as well as there are advanced engineering mathematics concepts also I am taking here. Yeah, so the thing is the code looks like this, where there is initialization, etc. This is only one page, one part of the code. Of course, there are other parts of the code. Point here is one can understand the declaration, definition of a declaration of variable, definition of variable, function definition, and a sequential execution of instructions. So that is what I'm trying to represent here. Now, if we see the output of this, what happens is you see that green and blue and green and red and green squares, two square. That is the output of this code, where the first column it tells what is the output curve. So is the output, and the second column is the t, which is the time representation. And the t representation, it is increasing on the time, and the curve representation, it initially increases the value, then again it comes down, reaches the bottom, and again it goes up. And using the arrow, I have shown okay how the values are pointing to each of this as the time represents. I'm trying to, through arrows, I'm showing how the visual thing of these numbers matches the specific numbers. That is what I'm showing here. Now, the point of Bhaskara is some kids are, what I have observed is, they are naturally inclined to mathematics. For example, several kids, once they come from school, they don't have to learn mathematics. It comes naturally to them. Now, for those students, this Sharada Bhaskara is one perfect language. However, there are other group of students who are very good in knowledge, who are very good in expressing. So they create stories, they create poems, etc., and they can express very well. And many of them I have observed is that they hate mathematics. Now, Sharada Panini is for exactly for them. And even in case of engineers as well, I have observed that software engineers who are into business representation, etc., modeling business, finance, etc., what they do is like they are able to write very big code. But when it comes to pure mathematics, they don't work there, and that kind of work is given to data scientist and artificial intelligence engineer, etc. So I was an AI architect, and those kind of code used to come to me. And this kind of representation where the code becomes very big and then there is business logic inherent, that it's a different skill. It's a different skill. And the point is, I have created a language only specifically for that. Of course, you can mix all of these three. So Sharada Panini is that. Now, what Sharada Panini is I have given a simple example which anyone can understand. So here, what I'm trying to represent is I am trying to emulate a game. And in this game, let us assume that there are two children. And first children, he does some activity in a game and he earns 3 chocolates. And the second friend comes. Unfortunately, he does not get any goodies. And then the thing is, the first one says that he has 3 chocolates and the other guy does not have a chocolate. And then depending upon his nature. So the thing is, suppose I program that the first child is a friendly child and he's a generous child, right? In a game, I can define all of them. So if he's a generous child, he will give a chocolate to the other guy. And then as the time flows, the other person will have the chocolate. Now, this is a game. This is a game kind of a simulation. And can I represent this game in Sanskrit, right? So what I am trying to do here is that when I represent, let us see how the code will look like. Any guesses how many lines of code one will require to do that? So generally, if a person is doing it in a normal code, generally it takes many lines of code here. But the thing is, let us see what I'm trying to do here. Represent this situation in Panini. Here I have only 2 lines. First line is Ramaha Trini Chaklehani Arjitavan. Second line is Krishnaya Ramaha Chakleham Dattavan. Now, of course, I am as well defining the first child as Rama and the second child is Krishna previously. So that is part of initialization of the code, right? I am just talking of the functional logic here. So now what happens is the power of the regional languages of India is that we have a concept of vibhakti. So vibhakti means that suppose I have a noun, suppose I have an object. Now object is not represented exactly as it is. What we do is along with the object, we as well join with it is something called vibhakti, which is Ram ne Krishna ko फल दिया. राम ने कृष्ण को एक पैसे लेके यहाँ से फल दिया. Of course, in current Hindi, we have the se ko ne separated. But if you see 1830, 1850s of Hindi of Sanskrit of 1850, if you get any document from archive.org, you will see that all the vibhakti is connected to the Hindi, right? Now the point is all our regional languages have that. Now what I have tried doing is the moment I am giving instruction to the computer, the compiler is trying to differentiate what is the karta, karma, karan, etc. And then it is trying to understand what object has to move from there. So for example, Ramah Trini Chaklehani Arjitavan refers to Ram has earned 3 chocolates. And in this, the compiler is trying to understand that, okay, Ramah is a person, chocolate is an object, and that object has to be 3 things has to be initialized. And that 3 things initialization is what you see on the right side square, where so I had simulated this on February 6th and I had uploaded this in my YouTube channel for our kids. And I was waiting for any responses that are coming depending upon this Sanskrit language. So February till May, I am doing my own data analysis of how many are getting interested in this specific thing. All right. So 3 objects have got spawned here, and that has got allocated to Rama. And then Krishnaya Ramaha Chakleham Arjitavan means it will understand that Krishna is a person, and why it understands person is because of initialization code that I have done. And it will understand that it's a new person, and the new person does not has any ownership of any goodies. And the Rama gives the on a specific condition. Here that condition I have not put. But if the condition is put, it will as well check that condition and then give that chocolate from Ram to Krishna. So the point I am trying to express here is that generally in industry, what I've seen is the moment the number of lines of code exceed 10,000 lines of code. So generally the software that I have been using has around 10,000, 50,000 or more than that lines of code. As the number of lines of code increases, it becomes very difficult to maintain them, very difficult to debug them. Here, what I have tried to do is using this vibhakti, I am assuming that, not only assuming, I am showing that the number of lines of code can be reduced. And once the number of lines of code reduces, it is easy to remember, it's easy to debug, etc. So here, this is about Sharda Panini. And if you see, there is an inherent mathematics involved in that. And that mathematics is done by a background software. So it's like at any point of time, it understands how many chocolates Ram has, etc. And the mathematics is taken in the background. The compiler does that. A person who is doing this just has to think in terms of a business logic. So that is the idea that I am having here. And so that is part of Sharda Panini. Now, this specific program is a very good, very good thing, but it is extremely difficult to add all the cases. So what I have done is I have taken very basic case of giving 10 kriyas. That is all is required to create a game. But anyways, it's a huge, Panini is a huge concept. I'm not taking complete Sanskrit. I have just taken very minimal Sanskrit just to show that, okay, this is how it is done. And what is not, so several things are yet to be done, right? But since there was no much interest in this from February to May, I was working on the Parashar, which is creating paint, and that's where people are more getting interested. However, yeah, so this is still in progress, but yeah. So we have Sharada Parashar, which is a scripting based, Bhaskara, which is mathematics based, Panini, which is expression based for doing business logic and that kind of implementation. The starting point for every person has to be Parashar, because that is the simplest thing where one understands what is knowledge representation and how I am using knowledge representation in a coding, which this is specifically not done in existing coding languages. So I'm doing that here, and that is part of Sharada Parashar. Now, once I started doing this in February, I realized that not many are interested in Panini because even though I am using very simple Sanskrit language, which can be done in just 5 days, 10 days, one can understand that Sanskrit. Sanskrit Bharati is conducting such courses in which 10 days one starts using simple Sanskrit and is able to speak. Now, even though that is there, not many were interested in Sharda Panini initially, but now the interests are coming. That's when the Parashara was introduced. Of course, it was introduced much before, but that I started introducing in school. So, in one of the local schools, after 10 classes of 10 hour, 1 hour each, students, I have shown you the output that students have generated. And what children are basically interested is they are interested in knowledge system more than actually the coding constructs. So they started liking looking at the stars, understanding how the seasons change, how the moon moves, why it changes, etc. So they were interested in that. And once a very basic Indian astronomy is given to them, they started writing pictures. And pictures also they are very interested in doing, and they like how the computer responds with a picture, etc. So I had students from fifth standard to a BSc second year, and they were very comfortable using this. And I am as well conducting the course to some of the parents who are in US and Canada, and again they are also more interested in Indic knowledge system than coding. Now coding is I have been doing coding since 20 years. It's not so colorful compared to knowledge systems. And the thing is, the knowledge system in coding also exists, but that is not as colorful as mm, the knowledge system that we have inherited from, which has stood the test of time. Anyways, yeah. So we have Sharda Bhaskara. Sharda Bhaskara is for mathematics, low-end mathematics to extreme high-end mathematics in terms of artificial intelligence, differential equation, everything. It's a small library that is currently we are having, but it can solve all of this. Then I am using Ganita. Ganita is like I'm not using plus bracket into nothing. It is pure words through which this coding is happening. Now I have Sharda Panini, which is programming and linguistics, and it is like I have given a demo of how it can be used. It's a proof of concept. I have shared it. So I've been sharing the proof of concept from the month of February of this year itself, and it is there in my For Our Kids number 4 OUR Kids my channel, and that's where I am giving library. And then the good thing about Google is that it gives me a analytics of how people are liking it, how many people like it, how many people hate it. Yes, of course, I am meeting some people are as well hating it, unfortunately. But out of 98% of the people who are liking it, there are 1 or 2% who will call it fake and who will call, why are you doing this in Sanskrit instead of doing it in English? I get those kind of comments also, but that is only 2%. 98% are liking this work. All right. So, Sharada Parashar, how is this coding, Sanskrit coding, different from the conventional coding? Now, I'm talking of Parashar here specifically, because here I have some data points, people who are learning it. So, this Sanskrit programming, it introduced programming in a language near to that of child. So, what it means is that a child, when he grows up, there is a mother tongue that he inherits from his mother and from his parents, father and mother and his grandparents, etc. Now that is extremely close to his heart. Now what we do is we try to introduce another language, which is English, and then over that layer we are introducing coding exists currently. Now what happens is the child is connected to coding through that additional language. I am removing that additional language and I am introducing that language directly to the coding. Now you can say that no, I am introducing Sanskrit. But if you see the words that I'm using, 90% of the words in Parashar, or 95% I can say, are from the words of your regional language. And the reason that has happened is because the regional languages have been inheriting the language from Sanskrit. The technical words they have been inheriting from Sanskrit, and that is why we are lucky to have all the technical words from Sanskrit itself. Now, the point is, a child has his knowledge system, and directly I am connecting coding to that. Of course, 5% of the words out of 50 words, 5 words will be Sanskrit, which has to learn externally. But 45 words are mostly from the his own mother tongue will have these words. All right. So I am connecting a child directly without an external language connecting to coding. So that is the main difference. Second thing is, here I am introducing coding through his Lipi. So Lipi means in English we have A to Z. Now English can as well be written in Hindi Devanagari script. Similarly, Sanskrit can be written in Devanagari script or any of the other scripts. And some people as well write Sanskrit in English using capital letters, small letters. Yeah, but unfortunately, we are having such a condition currently. So I am introducing Lipi. Now, Lipi, what it gives is our regional Lipi allows exact representation of the sound is there in the Lipi. That is what we call phonetic system. So I am introducing this. So that connects the child to Lipi as well, right? Without, if he is uncomfortable with English, that is what I'm doing. Third thing is, it is instilling a pride in Indic knowledge system. For example, I have visual astronomy, calendar, etc. Now, this is Indic knowledge system because I am aware of Indic knowledge system. Now, in fact, this can be done even for other regional areas as well. Now, China has a very strong traditional knowledge. For example, traditional Chinese medicine is one thing. They also have their astronomy. Japanese have their own thing. So, but they are not using their knowledge system as part of code. Here, what I'm doing is I'm introducing that, where a knowledge system is introduced. So a child understands coding through the knowledge system. That is something which is new here, which I haven't seen in other countries, which they are doing. Of course, they are working on the knowledge representation, and yes, that is outside the scope here. Third thing is, in the Parashara, I am introducing integration, a very simplistic way of integration of code where different children are able to integrate each other's code, use each other's code. And then, of course, it gives a child a painting which he can share with others with pride and say that, okay, this is what I have done. And I have seen, like, I'm taking some classes for children, very young children. And they are saying, like, okay, Acharya ji, I will sing a song for you that I have done. So children are very interested in, expressing whatever they have created. And here I am allowing that coding to, because coding is generally not so colorful, but I am introducing this color to that, and that I'm introducing here. So that is part of Parasha. Of course, in Bija Ganita, there is not so colorful as such. Only a child who enjoys mathematics will be able to enjoy Bija Ganita. In Bhaskara, Sharada Bhaskara. Yeah. Also, what do participants say? So some of them said that it is one of the parents from Canada said that Canada or US, I'm not exactly sure, but most of are from Canada. So I believe that this parent had mentioned that this parent also is from Canada. He said, "Great content and knowledge. Glad to rediscover our Sanskriti is great and scientific." Then I had a student from Meghalaya, and she said that I did not know Sanskrit. I did not have any experience in computing. Now, after 10 classes, I feel confident to use this program to create a paint. Then a girl child from Karnataka, she said that this environment, the coding environment, is favorable to Indian students. I find it easy to use. She finds it easy to use. And after attending 10 classes, I am able to draw simple painting using instruction. So they were comfortable. Most of the children, in fact, all the children were comfortable. And I have taken an interview of these children and uploaded it in my YouTube channel for our kids. And the name of the video is introducing the first batch results or painting in Sanskrit, something like that. A word, yeah. So you can search. So the icon of that is like a green island, almost green with an island, and that Parashar Lake. That is the background. Now you can get all these videos on my website www.shardula.ai.com. It is mentioned in the bottom. All right. So this is what my idea is, or what is to be done. Currently, Parashar is out for. I am experimenting Parashar with parents and children, and the next in line will be Bhaskara and Bhaskara for mathematics, and Panini for doing some business logic or any game kind of a logic. That is what we call business logic. So, all right, namaste. I hope you have enjoyed this talk as much as I enjoyed creating this, as much as I enjoyed giving this. So, thank you. Dhanyavad.